Hi, Derek here. We've just had a Q&A with our Perfect or Perfect English membership site, and we're showing you an extract this week. Most of the questions this week were to do with prepositions, and there's an interesting question at the end about how we can sort of fit our learning in with busy lives for people who have jobs and other commitments. Hope you find this interesting. Here you go. And a very related question is to do with under and below. It says there's a thin difference between the two, but can't be used interchangeably. And how do we use them in a sentence? And so it's similar. So under is like below. So if something is below another, it's sort of lower. But if it's under, it's sort of covered by it. Yeah, that makes sense. These must be prepositions of place. So if something is below another thing, it's lower than that. Yeah, and if something is under, then it's sort of covered by it in some sense. So you would have maybe the beach is below the waterfall. So you've got the waterfall here and the beach is down here, but it's not covering it in any sense. Or you might say that you get into bed and you get under the covers, then they're sort of covering you. I hope that makes sense. Next one is, how do we decide when to use in versus in? Oh, we had that one. Oh, that came up twice. Okay. Oh, sorry, there's two parts to this one. In versus into and on versus onto. So the in and into we've done. So to answer this question, in and into versus on and onto. So in and on are the prepositions of place, and into and onto are their sort of related prepositions of direction. So if we used, we had one with the envelope and the letter. So if we use another one, we could say I put the cup onto the table, as with the direction or movement. But then once it's there, the cup is on the table. So in, into, on, onto are very related. One is the preposition of place and the other is the preposition of movement or direction. And it says, how can we use out versus outside? What's the difference in their use? And again, we have a very similar thing. That outside is the preposition of place and out is a preposition of direction. So out has a sense of movement. So you could say I threw the ball out of the window, but then once I've done this, the ball is then outside the house. Yeah, so again, sort of similar questions. Differences a lot between prepositions of place and prepositions of direction. And the last one is not to do specifically with prepositions. A bit of a long question. And it says, if we're short of time due to multitasking, do we read all the rules in the course with examples and then read books and watch movies or TV? Or write in our diary to master all the skills, or is it necessary to attempt practice exercises and quizzes to master every concept? Ideally, one should attempt the exercises, but at times one has to do multiple jobs. What's your take on this, specifically for people who have an active work life? Yeah, this is actually unfortunate. There isn't like a quick hack that you can just use to suddenly improve your language skills enormously. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like this. I wish it did. If I could have a pill that was good for an hour's worth of learning, I would make a fortune. So what I'll be inclined to do is, rather than trying to learn a little bit about everything, but when you're reading or when you're watching something on TV or a film or something, if you notice that there's a certain thing that you're not getting, and you notice it's the same sort of thing every time, then that's a good indication that that's the thing you should learn. So then bear that in mind, go on to the course material and think, okay, I'm really having a trouble with, say, prepositions of place and prepositions of direction. So then look at those. You can do some practice examples. You can search on the web for them. You can ask here. Do those and really make sure that you're kind of happy with them and you feel confident that you can use them and recognize them correctly. So and then once you're happy with those and you think, yeah, I've got this now, then go back to what you were watching or reading and make sure it now makes sense. And when you've done that, you can kind of tick it off a little bit and then carry on with something else. So you may have conditionals or certain tenses or whatever. So let your reading and your practice materials sort of take you in the direction you need to go and steer you towards the things that you find difficult. Now, this does require a certain amount of self-discipline. So I know when say kids are practicing music, I've seen this many times. There'll be a whole page of notes which have to play, and there's like a couple of bars in the middle that are really quite tricky. So what they'll do is they'll play the bit they can play quite happily. They go up, and carry on and play the rest. And that's not really practicing. That's just playing what you can already play. So what they should do is go back to these kind of couple of bars that are really tricky, slow it down, play them through slowly, and then speed up, and then play it through completely. And sort of in an analogous way to learning language, if you come across something in a book or in a film that you don't understand, don't just say, whatever, and carry on. Stop, press the pause button, go and find out what it means. See if you can guess what it means from the context. Then look it up, then go back and see that it makes sense, then you understand it. And if necessary, keep a little notebook and kind of write the words or the phrases in the notebook. And when you do that, you can then refer back to them sort of periodically to make sure you're still happy with the meaning. So I absolutely have understanding for people who have a life and have a job and have other commitments. But unfortunately, there isn't any kind of magic pill or hack. What I would say, though, in the same way as in the music or sports or anything else that you're doing to sort of get improvement, is it's better to do, say, 15 minutes a day rather than 2 hours once a week. So if you can get into the habit of doing regularly something, for even if it's only 15 minutes, that will help you much more than doing big chunks at irregular intervals. Yeah, that was an extract from our Q&A. If you're interested in becoming a member, please check out the link in the description. Everyone's more than welcome. It's very affordable, and there's even affiliate options where you can tell your friends and make it even more affordable, even to the point where I end up paying you to be a member and you still have access to all the material. If you have questions or queries to do with any aspect of learning English, you can also ask them here in the comments and you'll certainly get an answer, and who knows, maybe it'll even find its way into a future Q&A. Till that time, bye for now.